I'm here today to tell you about my story, vision, and goals. Growing up, I lived in the East End of London, and I recall there were times where we couldn't afford things such as field trips. And it was those times I'd feel like an outcast, having to stay back in another classroom with people I didn't really know, knowing that my friends were out having a great time. Or things like a photo that symbolizes all that I've went through, the success of where I came from, and also where I would be going. I've always wanted to help with the problem of isolation children experience, but it wasn't until my 7-year-old son came to me one day saying there were kids in his class who didn't have money for pizza lunch, and that we needed to buy pizza so that everyone could have some. It made me wonder if a 7-year-old notices this from the outside looking in, what could be going through the mind of that 7-year-old going without? So with my vision, I searched for an organization to help support my idea, and that is where the Northwest London Resource Centre stepped in. This is where our pilot comes in. It is named One Step Closer for Kids because that is what we intend to do. Help kids get one step closer to a healthy social environment and one step closer to a stronger self-esteem. We are a sponsorship program being piloted at Wilford Drury Public School, a high-need school with many low-income families in Northwest London through NWLRC. It is made up of a group of community volunteers consisting mainly of Banting High School students. And we want to strengthen self-esteem and social skills, allowing kids to focus more on the academic aspect in school and decrease instances of social isolation in children while increasing inclusion and acceptance. This provides an opportunity for neighbors to support neighbors in a confidential way, and it also becomes a collaboration between businesses, education sectors, and not-for-profit agencies. We decided that in order to be successful, we need to be able to limit the areas in which we put our focus, with hopes of being able to expand in the future, sending a message throughout London that isolation does exist, and that although to some may seem like minor issues, are, however, very impacting issues for those involved. Our focus for the year comes in 3 areas: graduation attire, graded graduation photos, and end-of-year class trips for all grades. It's important for children to have confidence while walking on stage accepting their certificate, and we are aware of other agencies that provide support for youth within London, such as the Cinderella Project. But there's limited or no support for males, and at times, families are not aware of these programs, which is why we are placing ourselves within the school. Graduation photos are a symbol of a student's journey. We would like to be able to provide children the opportunity to take a photo with them that marks an important time in their life, along with future accomplishments to come. Lastly, end-of-year class trips are important. This is a time where students are able to come together on a social level and celebrate the year with friends. And we want to allow access to all students in the school whose families don't necessarily have the means to cover the cost of such trips. Now, why is it important, one may ask? Too many kids are living with isolation within our community. Not only will we be giving access and space for students to relate to their peers, but that we are also encouraging increased self-esteem and having youth feel part of the whole school experience, providing support and ensuring all youth have the same social experience. This allows students to focus more on what really counts, which is their education, as well as a strong social environment. Our main goal is to help students succeed in school. We want to have a strong presence within the community, building a strong social environment and lifting kids out of a social isolation with the help of volunteers and local businesses. We also want to engage and empower youth to embrace the program and help others. We have recently placed together volunteer committees consisting of Banting students who will be active in all decisions relating to fundraising, sponsorships, and marketing. We want to be able to allow these students to experience the satisfaction one gets knowing that they have made a difference in a child's life. What research says. According to the Centers of Excellence for Youth Engagement, research provides strong support for the existence of a link between youth engagement and positive health outcomes. Youth who are engaged in structured activities are less likely to use cigarettes, marijuana, hard drugs, and alcohol. We're less likely to become engaged in risky sexual behavior, less likely to become engaged in violent behavior, less likely to drop out of school, and more likely to complete a college degree. Likewise, there is also evidence that engaged youth are less depressed, had higher self-esteem, were more physically active, they obtained higher grades, and they also showed a greater commitment to their friends, families, and communities. Not that we believe all youth will experience these difficulties, because not all will. However, we do feel that it is our social responsibility to minimize the risks to such challenges these youth do have to face. Now, hopefully I have been able to place one question in your mind, and that is, how can I help? You can help in more than one way. Donations are important with things such as graduation clothing, volunteer services, monetary donations, but also word of mouth. So please get the word out there. Let people know about who we are and what we want to accomplish. I just wanted to thank you for your time. Should you have any questions, please don't hesitate to come and speak with me, or you can visit the website at www.nwlrc.ca. But one last thing though. Can I ignite a passion in you to end social isolation within our community?